if I start sniffing, I've just sneezed. And sometimes I have a sneezing fit, which goes on for about a couple of minutes. It might not happen. And it just happened. I am getting really, really, really bored with every time you put the telly on, there's somebody dressed in black talking about the Queen. I just turned the telly on. I watched the last half of a recording of Griff Rhys-Jones in on his way to Calgary. I'd watched a bit of that the other day. And I thought, I know, there might be a MasterChef, Celebrity MasterChef on the telly recorded. I'll watch that, I thought. No. So I turned the recordings off, and there's Nicholas Witchell talking about last year and the Queen mourning and the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral, and we're not watching a lot of it. But it's like, how much can people talk about this? How many times can people repeat? And what's the day? It's only fucking Thursday. You've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the funeral. I'll watch the funeral. I watched Diana's funeral. I remember watching Churchill's funeral. Mark was a bit surprised, but I think I might have been about 7 and I remember it quite well. So I'll watch it. It's history and it's the Queen and she's been part of my life. But how many the weeks or days and days of mourning? It looks like the UK is going to close down. Everywhere's just going to stop, come to a standstill. That'll be great for the economy. Operations cancelled. I can't remember what else I saw yesterday, but enough already. And I'll be pleased to see the back of Nicholas Witchell, wouldn't you? So I went back to art today for the first time. First time in 10 weeks. It's been a long break, partly because Cleo's husband Etienne had that massive heart attack back in, what do we have, July, August and half of September, so it must have been back in May, and I think they just needed some time out, of course. Massive shock, isn't it? Massive shock to nearly die. And he was, she'd been away with her daughters on a holiday, and she'd come back, and he was, I don't remember how close it was, but he was about to go off on a boat, sailing. Thank God he wasn't on the boat, because if he'd been on the boat, he'd be dead. So, yeah, so they've had 10 weeks. She's had 10 weeks. They've had 10 weeks together. I'm really pleased about that. So it was a much needed break for them, a much needed time for them to regroup. And really nice to be back. Nice to be back in the atelier, and I was working on. I took with me I printed off on the printer a Modigliani landscape. You won't find many of those because he isn't really a landscape artist, but I love Modigliani, and I do so much Modigliani stuff. I thought I ought to do something different, so I took a landscape in and started working on that in pastels, because I love working with pastels, on this paper that's a little bit like sandpaper, and it's lovely to work on. I'm sure I had a small book, or I say small book, a book with smaller pieces on card of this, and it takes the pastels really well. So I really enjoyed that today. It was lovely being back with my French friends. It's 10 weeks since I've been immersed in French, so it's really good for me. It's such an amazing place in terms of, it's great for my French, it's great for my art, and it's good for my mental health. It's good for all of us because we laugh, and it's just good for your morale. It's a really good place to be. So I'm pleased that we were back. Mark was back there Tuesday. So he goes on a Tuesday. So yeah, we've had some more rain today, which was nice to have some rain. it would have to rain for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks to recoup what we haven't had for several years, and that ain't going to happen. But we did have. I got wet on my way into art today, so we have had some rain. It's been busy because Mark's money's come through, so we've been able to begin the process of. We went down this morning with the Debbie to the people that had done the Debbie for us for the shutters, and set that emotion a little bit. We've made some changes, so we've got to wait for that to come back and then put that emotion. But because we want wood, because people, it may have been people on here talking about wood is better than plastic, is better than aluminium, and wood is going to be about 6 months before that happens. So that will be March, April. But wood is better apparently. So we'll put that in motion. And I have booked Canada. Terribly exciting doing that, booking the train and booking a flight. I mean, it's ages away yet, ages before we go. But I just like to have things organised. So so I've done all of that. I've been sending money from the UK to France. I've spoken to the bank. It's all been a bit of a whirlwind, really. And we haven't really spent anything apart from on the train journey and the flight. So so it's been good, but it's been tiring. I sort of doing because I'm the money manager and I'm the organizer of things. I'm the chef des affaires. It's quite tiring, and I was expecting to be cooking for my daughter on Sunday. She was going to come over, and her partner was back from Switzerland last weekend, and on Monday he got sick and he's got COVID. So I've said to her I'd prefer her not to come because we don't really want to get COVID, and it's a shame because I've started defrosting the meat. I'm going to cook that tomorrow. I was going to make I'm going to make a meat pie. So I still have to make the meat pie, Joe. Sorry, but you won't get it because you're not going to be here. And I might be able to freeze you some, but it won't be the same because I'm going to make it with the sort of recipe they use for pie and mash, which is a suet base. Yeah, and a short crust top. So I was planning to do that, and I'll still do that, but it won't be mince, it will be steak, which is defrosting in the fridge. So I'm going to have to cook it in the slow cooker tomorrow, make the pies on Sunday, and I might make extra. So yeah. Didn't get to pick up the pullets this evening because we went down whilst it was too light, really. There's no chance of catching them. You need to get them when they're in the dark, so we haven't done that. One of the gate here has been open all day, so there's been chickens out on the terrace and in this small back garden, and I went out, and Ida was getting her 3. It's a small slice. It's of Harry's bread that's cut into 3, and Mark was giving her bread, and one of the Brahmas nicked one of the slices from her, and then one of the pullets nicked it from the Brahma, and they were running around the garden chasing each other. So Ida didn't get all of her bread tonight, but she seemed okay. She seemed quite happy when we came back up, came bouncing up, gambling as they do. Yeah, so that's that so far. Oh God. And where are we? It's the 19th, isn't it, the funeral? So when the UK opens again on Tuesday, I wonder how it will be. I wonder what it will be like. I wonder how many other people are just had their heads done in. It really is time for the country to get back on it, isn't it? And for the bloody politicians to get back to work. Everybody get back to work. This is ridiculous. It's like being it must feel like it. I mean, it doesn't feel like it. I mean, every time we turn the television on, it looks like it. Being in the doldrums, being caught in the doldrums or in stasis, nothing's moving. It's mad, absolutely mad. And yeah, that's about it really. Bonne journée.